one of the main criticisms many games get nowadays is they're too short. The campaign is only 4 hours long. And this isn't just from, people on Metacritic that want to complain about a game because they have nothing bad to say about it. This is from professional critics as well.
Call of Duty 4's 4 hours long. You can finish it. We don't care. We want it to be 8 to 10 hours long. You're cheating us.
Yeah, this is the problem, because that was the first game I really came across. So I didn't used to watch many reviews, but for Call of Duty 4, they said, the campaign's like only 4 hours long. But I played it, and this was by far, and still remains today, the best shooter campaign I have ever played by a long shot. Because there is literally no fillers. Every single level, every mission, every minute matters. Every minute feels intense. There are some of the best levels I've ever played in a first-person shooter. And it was much longer than 4 hours if you play it on the difficulty that it's fun, which is hardened or veteran. That's when it's really fun. If you just play it on casual and just blast through, you're not going to get the full experience of the campaign.
Which is what most developers, I've noticed this, will kind of say, it's this long based on regular or amateur. And most reviewers will play the game, and I've heard IGN especially, when people like Colin or Greg do a review, they'll particularly say, I played on amateur or regular because that's what most players are going to play on. Yes, it is, but it's not a fair actual... What you need to say is your playtime can be between this and this, and it would be better if you...
You include the difficulties, you included... Okay, if you say, for example, for an open world game, right, because... an open world game has a much longer playtime. You need to say, to get 100% complete, do everything, every collectible is this. To do every side mission, excluding collectibles, it'll take you this long. To do the game on this difficulty and do everything, it might take this long. I don't know, just give an indication. Don't just say, the game is 8 to 10 hours long. Tell me what you did in that playthrough. Did you literally just play through the main story, ignore every single thing? You literally just... as if walked from A to B without exploring the levels.
We've come up with a phrase to characterise this, and we've called it Marcusing through a game. And what it basically means is that you will go through and do the absolute bare minimum in order to get through the game. Right? You will miss out anything and everything just to basically see the story. You will not do anything else.
You just cut scene to cut scene. You don't care about the side activities. You will not do anything that the game does not explicitly tell you to do. You will literally look at your objective, walk to the objective. You will basically speed run the game in order to get from one cutscene to another cutscene.
Another way of putting it's like a peer-to-peer gamer. They will just literally go objective, 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 which is fine, but you actually miss out half the game by doing that in most games.
Yeah, in many games. I mean, some games, they're all about the environments and exploration. For example, Far Cry 2, that game, a lot of people said, it's boring, it's repetitive, and the missions are the same, there's no level design. Of course there isn't. But that was one of my favourite games because it had the atmosphere in there. You could just spend hours just immersed in the game world because it was so convincing and exploring. I mean, there's not really much to do if you explore. All you can really do is just collect diamonds. But even doing that, because the sound was good, the visuals were good, the day-night cycle, the enemies coming at you, it was a very immersive game world. So even though you're not really doing anything that's explicitly exciting or part of the main game,
capture the diamond.
It's still fun. I mean, the diamonds aren't pointless. It's not like one of those games where collectibles are put in there for the sake of it, like GTA 4. I mean, these collectibles, you use them to upgrade weapons. So it's definitely worth going for.
The enemy has captured our diamond.
Get it back. Men have died for this.
One of the other games that recently has been one of my personal bugbears is Remember Me, because it's a game which literally is only a story, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, but it's then only 10 hours long-ish. But I do kind of I do appreciate
it's even less actually. It depends because there's only 8 levels. Yeah, there's 8 levels.
9
if you include episode 0.
Yeah. So when you actually go and play the game, you're gonna spend realistically between 8 to 10 hours playing a game which cost £40, which is kind of taking the piss because it's only like 10 hours worth for a 40 quid game, whereas I can go and play something like Trine 2 on PS4 and it'll be like 15 hours long, and that's like 16 quid, which is still like, yeah, okay, it's a AAA title, but the point is that you're not getting the actual, you're not getting the playtime. However, the difference between Remember Me and Trine 2 is one of them is a AAA title and is very, very high quality.
Despite what the critics want to say.
And yeah, Trine, yeah, okay, it's very good. It's kind of high quality in a sense. It's just not at the same level as Remember Me. It doesn't have the production values. It's very, very pretty, but there's not as much gameplay in it. It's very repetitive, whereas Remember Me isn't.
Well, the way I look at it is, okay, the thing about games like Remember Me, yeah, it might be short, someone might be able to play through it in like 6 to 8 hours, right? But every single level was good, right? The game was, I mean, I walked around the game, just the attention to detail. I've never seen such a, like, you know, cyberpunk theme be represented so well. The game world was so good. The graphics was amazing. The experience I had was awesome. And these shorter games, actually, what I find is I play through them. I play these shorter games more because I like that short experience really a lot. I've played through Remember Me for 39 hours.
And I've played through it for about 22.
I mean, I just kept replaying the game over and over again. I mean, you can go for the achievements. There's a lot of replay value if you like the game. I've done this with a lot of games, like Mirror's Edge, for example. I've played
DMC is another good example.
And I played Mirror's Edge for probably 150 hours. I played through that game a lot, even though if you wanted to, well, if you count the speedrun times that you'd need to beat, it's like 50 minutes, isn't it? I don't know, it's somewhere around that.
Total's about 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's under an hour to beat the game, really. I mean, obviously you're not going to do that on your first playthrough because you don't try and find out where to go. But
probably take you 3 hours in your first playthrough, and with a bit of practice, you'll do the whole game in under an hour, maybe 45.
It depends. I mean, some critics might say it's 8 hours. I mean, it depends. Like with these games, a lot of the time it depends. So what we're trying to say is games have a range of play times. So when someone says a game is this much playtime, right? Like, for example, when they said, Need for Speed, the run is 2 hours. It is 2 hours, regardless of what difficulty you play on. It's a 2-hour game for the campaign. Did they take into account
the online and then the challenge mode?
The challenge mode. Yeah, okay, so it's pretty much the campaign again. But the point is, the campaign, it had the variety.
You've got the thing is though that if you look at the actual challenge mode and you to do everything in the challenge mode, you're probably looking at an additional 10 hours. So you're looking at probably 12 hours for that, and then you've got the online, and they'd probably assume you'd play on that for maybe 10 hours as well. So if you look at it, that's a 22-hour game. That's not bad when you actually put everything together.
No, it's not bad. It's just the fact that when you compare it to Hot Pursuit, I mean, I did everything in that game.
Probably looking at 50 to 60 hours.
Yeah, it's 50 to 60 hours. I played that game quite a lot. I did everything and I really enjoyed it. But the run, it was really short. But what they went for was kind of a movie. This is what I'm saying. Like, what people misunderstand about something like the run is it's meant to be an interactive movie. But here's the thing about it. It's all gameplay driven. Like, yes, there's cutscenes. It's basically, what's that film? Gone in 60 Seconds, but as a film in a way. But like, it's literally just a movie, but you play through it. A movie is 2 hours, right?
I think people need to look at these games and appreciate what the game's trying to do.
First of all,
if the game's trying to be an interactive movie or be like a movie, then it's going to be 2 hours long. Who's going to watch a 6-hour film? You don't. The longest film I'm aware of ever is 4 hours long, which is Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Very, very good film, but would not work as a game.
Exactly, and sometimes these films are dragged out. Like The Godfather, I mean, that's a classic, like highest rated film of all time. The first half an hour you can just skip out immediately. So
anyway, to summarise, most of these developers and critics need to look at them and say, well, number one, what's the game actually trying to do? Is it trying to be a film-driven experience like The Run? Is it like Mirror's Edge, where you're going to spend maybe 5 hours on your first playthrough, maybe have a couple of struggles, but then spend a lot of time replaying it and trying to master it? The same with something like Street Fighter, where you technically your playthrough is nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all replay value.
It's just how much of the campaign does it take into account when it says 8 to 10 hours? Take into account the other modes, the other playtime.
The online, the challenge mode, the survival mode, the co-op, if there is one, like Battlefield. Did anyone talk about the co-op in Battlefield 3? No. Exactly. And yet it's like 3 to 4 hours extra gameplay.
And all about the achievements. I mean, a lot of people go through achievements. Batman Arkham Asylum, I saw someone do a run of the story on YouTube in 2 hours. Is it a 2-hour game? Hell no, you can get a lot more playtime out of it if you want to do everything. So the conclusion is, don't judge the game on the number of hours. It could all just be padding. It could all be fillers.
Judge it on the actual quality of the content that's
the
there.
Variety. I mean, you could have a 4-hour experience that's got a lot of variety, or you could have a 9-hour experience where it's just copy-paste at the same level. So don't look at the numerical value. That's the conclusion. Let us know what you think.